Hello, and welcome to another early morning video. And the subject of today's video is: have Nintendo won the console wars again? So look at Nintendo, and if you go in the early 90s, Nintendo, or the late 80s really, Nintendo were king. Game Boy, NES, absolutely phenomenal consoles. Really turned the whole gaming industry round. Competitors like Sega, they tried to get in there, and for the majority of platforms, Nintendo won. NES, um, like the 8-bit, so the NES flattened the Master System. Game Boy, well, has flattened any other competitor. Any competitor. The handheld market is Nintendo's. Okay, so Sega did claw it a little bit back with the Mega Drive against the SNES, but the SNES was still a massively powerful, massively popular console. It kind of tailed off then. So if you're talking that kind of era, Nintendo versus Sega, Nintendo definitely won that round of war. It took Nintendo took a bit of a dip after that. N64 versus the PlayStation, yeah, PlayStation 1, GameCube with PlayStation 2. They took a hit a bit there as well. Wii, well, that's when Nintendo really started to pick up again. And despite the fact that the Wii was drastically underpowered, it flattened its competition. Round two to Nintendo. Wii U, we'll skip over that. That was really a bit of a misdemeanor or a misnomer for Nintendo. But with the Switch, they've clawed it back. With the DS, they clawed it back. Nintendo, if you're talking handheld, well, they haven't won the war. They've world domination for that. So yeah, Nintendo do things a little differently, with maybe the exception of the GameCube. They don't go for full power. They go for tried and tested materials and tried and tested specs, and their own unique spin on something, and their entire exclusive franchises. That is what keeps Nintendo afloat. With the Wii, huge selection of Nintendo games, Kirby, Mario, Pokemon, etc. But it was the motion sensor that really sort of raised the awareness of the Wii, and gave it that uniqueness, alongside the fact that you could play Mario Kart and Super Mario. That's what keeps Nintendo afloat. It's what's always kept them afloat, and it's these platform exclusives that they will not give up that has kept them going. Nobody buys a Nintendo console because it's the latest and the greatest. We leave that to Sony and Microsoft to duke it out. They're the big hitters. They're the ones that come out with, oh, we've got this many teraflops and we can push this frame per second, etc. Blah 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 blah. Nintendo don't do that. We've seen that with the Switch, drastically underpowered but drastically popular. The Switch 2, yet again, a seriously underpowered console. It's not even trying to compete with the likes of whatever is out at the minute. And Nintendo have gone for this. We're going to do a console generation jump mid before everybody else. So their consoles are technically the next gen, but they don't even really compete hardware-wise with the current gen. And let's look at the Switch. Have they won the console wars? I think they have. And it's more than just sales figures and exclusivity. But we'll touch on the fact of exclusivity because it's always been, and it has been for quite some time, you pick a particular platform because there were certain game exclusives. Sega, You wanted to play Sega games, you want to play Sonic games and other Knights and some other Panzer Dragoon, that kind of thing. You needed a Sega console. And when I was growing up, you were either a Sega fan or a Nintendo fan. Moving forward, that dropped a little bit once Sega fell off and they started making games for other platforms. But it's always been that. And with Sony and Microsoft, there were exclusive series, franchises that if you wanted to play Halo, you needed to get into the Xbox. If you wanted to play Uncharted or Little Big Planet, you needed to buy a PlayStation. And this going forward, it's all the way up to Xbox One, Xbox Series X. There were games that are exclusive on certain platforms, or PS5, and Nintendo. Let's not discount Nintendo; they're still there with their Marios and their Mario Karts, Metroids, Pokemons, Fire Emblem, I think. All these kind of games that you could only play if you bought a Nintendo. And Sony did it, and Microsoft did it. But the new thing at the minute is that you just, especially Microsoft. Microsoft have, I don't know what they're doing. Are they trying to kill off the whole hardware vibe because they are releasing their games that were exclusively to the platform on other systems? Forza Horizon 5 now available on PS5. Forza used to be just an Xbox exclusive, a Microsoft exclusive. Halo is going to be coming across to other platforms, maybe even to the Switch too. So it's going to leave Microsoft with pretty much no exclusives. Same with the PS5. At some point, are we going to see God of War on an Xbox? It's the whole. You decide which platform you're going to play on because of the games that you can only play on there. That doesn't really seem to exist anymore, except with Nintendo. Nintendo are never ever going to give up their IPs. It would be very stupid for them to give up their IPs because it's the one thing that makes people buy a Nintendo console. If you could play Super Mario Wonder on an Xbox or Pokemon on your PlayStation 5, nobody would go and buy Nintendo's very underpowered hardware. It's their exclusive games and their unique way of building a console, motion controls, touch screens, hybrid console that keeps Nintendo where they are, and it works very well. So, with that in mind, with the fact that the Switch is an absolutely phenomenal sales machine, and it's got its exclusive titles, the Switch 2 seems to be following in its track, and it's got its exclusive titles, whereas everybody else is just branching out and giving all of their game exclusives to whoever. Have Nintendo won the console wars? I mean, and it's big dubious whether Microsoft was even going to carry on with consoles. They've got this whole everything's an Xbox slogan going around, which even could go across to the Switch. You can play your Xbox games on a PS5. You can play. I just think the whole. There's no reason these days as to whether you should pick PS5 or whether you should pick PlayStation or Microsoft. That they've leveled the playing field. They're bringing out their games just about on everything, and then you've got Nintendo there, who underpowered consoles, massive exclusive franchises, and they are steaming ahead. There doesn't seem to be any stopping them, whereas these other two companies are struggling a little bit, and just it seems as if they've got lost. There's no identity to Microsoft or Sony at the present. We need either to, well, I don't know. I can't see these big companies going, right, this is a game, you can only play it on our platform, because they want maximum exposure. Nintendo do it very well, and they will carry on doing it very well, and they will keep hold of everything that they've got and everything that makes Nintendo. And I mean, it was a bit of a risk with the Switch 2. Was it going to be good? Was it going to be bad? It seems to be doing extremely well. So it's going to be another big hitter for Nintendo. And on with that all bearing in mind, or all kept in mind, with the Switch and the Switch 2, its success, the way that Nintendo do things, I think Nintendo have well and truly won the console wars. They have done for quite some time. If you're looking at pure sales figures, with the exception of maybe things like the N64 and the Wii U, but all the other consoles have done extremely well, and they've really bolstered and built this beast of Nintendo exclusivity. I mean, you've got things now on the Switch, and you've got the Switch Online, and you can then buy back catalogs of Nintendo games. That they really are throwing pretty much, if you want to play a Nintendo game, you need a Nintendo, and it works. I don't know why the other platforms have gotten a bit lax on this. I mean, the reason I bought an original Xbox in the first place, way back in 20 odd years ago, is because I wanted to play some of these exclusive titles. I wanted to play Halo, and I couldn't do that on my PS2. I needed an Xbox. It's the same with Little Big Planet. Huge fan of Little Big Planet, and I needed a PlayStation system to play them. Lots of games going back to 10 years that were platform exclusives, and even then, even then you needed to pick which platform you wanted, or just buy them all. Have a Nintendo, have a Sony, and a Microsoft, just so you could play all of the games. Well, that doesn't really exist anymore, except in the world of Nintendo. So I think Microsoft and Sony have gotten a bit lost. Yes, their sales figures are pretty good. Don't think they're going to outsell Nintendo. And for that reason, and the fact that you're still getting exclusive games from Nintendo, a huge range of IPs that you can only play on Nintendo consoles, Nintendo have won the console wars. I mean, the future of Sony and Microsoft, we don't know about it. How's it going to go? Are we going to just merge these into? That's a box with an Xbox logo on, and that's a box with a PlayStation logo on. The hardware's pretty much identical on the inside. The games you can play are pretty much identical, including X exclusives for each platform. There doesn't seem to be any reason to be a PlayStation purist. The only thing that really does is controllers. I mean, there's a lot of I don't like Xbox controllers, so I won't buy an Xbox. But you wouldn't need to buy an Xbox if you could play those Xbox games on a PlayStation, if you preferred a PlayStation controller and PlayStation hardware. Whereas Nintendo, I think they've well and truly won the Nintendo I think they've well and truly won the console wars in terms of sales, in terms of game exclusives, in terms of IP, and the uniqueness that they come out with consoles. And let's not forget that some of the reason that their consoles have sold so well is because they don't just rely on the most powerful hardware. They bundle their experience, and they bundle their game IPs with unique ways of playing, touchscreen, motion controls, hybrid consoles, and so that they're still steaming ahead. And I think well and truly this gen, last gen, previous gen, Nintendo have won the console wars. Let me know what you think. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 years in terms of games consoles, and which games you can play on which system. But yeah, I think Nintendo have won the console wars. What do you think? Like, subscribe, enjoy.